All right. First episode here, the Agent Apprentice Podcast.
Agent Apprentice Podcast.
That's right. Thanks for doing this with me, Adam.
This is exciting.
It is. It is. So you want to tell everybody kind of what this podcast is going to be?
Sure. So you and I have been working together for about a year now,
Yeah, a little over a year.
and we're looking at 2026, but beyond that as a launching pad to a really good real estate career.
Right.
I've been doing it for about 22 years, and this year will be the 10th year that our team will be number one in the state of New Hampshire. So uh, I've done a couple things, made a couple mistakes along
Yeah.
the way, but just want to, have an intentional but also public, mentoring podcast type thing where you can ask questions that maybe the listeners can hear and learn from as well, but really want to, see what we can do.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we both work in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. On this episode or on this podcast moving forward, we'll talk about local market statistics, kind of give an update throughout the year. But I think it would be good for the first episode as we kind of jump into this, just for the listeners to hear how we both got into real estate, really who we are. And then, like I said, moving forward, we can kind of dive more into, maybe deals I'm working on, like you said, asking questions
Sure.
and giving an update about what's going on in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a very sexy road into real estate. I was a part of a .com company that was going out of business, and so I was on a website called Monster.com and looking for jobs. I have a business degree from UNH, and I worked at this consulting company for 9 years, and so I was trying to find a job that would suit my strengths up here in Wolfboro. We both live here in the Wolfboro area, and I grew up here, 9 generations here. My family's here, and we have an island house that my grandparents bought in the 60s, and we just wanted to focus in and around here. So I wanted to match my skill, what I've learned over the years, and find something that I could do and make a living for my family here in town. And since I'm not handy, I can't build anything. It was pretty limited, and it was a very tough job market. So I was on Monster.com trying to find a job, and there was a local company hiring. I went in, did the interview, and they said, "Go get your license. We'll save you a seat."
Nice.
So that was, the one cool story is when I was a kid, my grandmother and grandparents were in Longboat Key, and I was walking into a restaurant called the Chart House. I don't know if I was 8 or 9 or 10, but I remember this big black BMW pulling up and this guy jumping out of it. It looked like he was, having a good time, and I found out he was a realtor, and I was like, wow, that'd be pretty cool to just be in this vacation place, driving a nice car, and doing real estate. And you know, 20 or 40 years later, I bought the same car and I'm a realtor. So I kind of had that childhood dream or fantasy come true years later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what year did you get into the business?
2003.
Okay. And how was the market back then?
It was coming out of the .com era, crushed the job market. Real estate was coming out of a darker time, and then I had a pretty good run up. What was fortunate for me is it was when internet was coming into real estate, websites, agent websites, company websites, things like that. In my old job, I knew what cost per click advertising was. I knew if I, told Google I wanted to advertise for anyone typing in Lake Winnipesaukee real estate, and I could get them onto my website. And back then, you could see what other competitors were bidding. So I'd go, I'll do 10 cents, and then I remember Century 21 was doing 20 or 11 cents, and we kind of auctioned back and forth back in the day. But that was my first thing that, in real estate, you have to be different. There's lots of real estate agents, and that was the thing that I differentiated myself. I went all in on the internet. I went all in on my agent website. I went all in on SEO, and then I combined all of that tech with the fact that I have 9 generations here in the area. I went to high school here. I grew up on the lake. So people that were calling for vacation homes, I could tell them where the fishing spots were. I could tell them where the sunset, where the wind blew, all of that stuff. So I had some knowledge that was very important to some very well-to-do buyers, and I had this website that was bringing them to me.
Hmm.
So it was like the perfect storm. 2003, I got in the business. 2006, I think I was number one in Wolfboro, just 3 years into the business.
Wow. So, what led you to going from a solo agent, somewhat new to the business, to building a team that is now 10 years, number one team in New Hampshire, but also being one of the top agents in all of Keller Williams?
Um, so at the beginning, I don't. I use the term island of success. I don't want to be an island of success. I'd rather have lots of people around me that are successful, rather than just being solely successful. So with the website that I had back in the day, I was getting tons of leads. I actually had referral partners, in Guilford, in North Conway. So I essentially had a team of people that I wouldn't even do referral forms. I just send them leads. They would close them and send me a check without any, it was basically a handshake agreement. And so that went on for probably 9 years. Like, I had a good reputation selling some nice houses. I actually was a luxury agent before I started selling lots of units, because that was my knowledge. I grew up on the lake. I knew all the neighborhoods and things like that. And I was getting the opportunity to meet some amazing people through my website. So I had this team of people that if I didn't take the lead, then I'd at least get a little piece of it. The problem with that was I'd lose that client, right?
Hmm.
So if I sent somebody over to my agent in Laconia, now she could sell them the house, I'd get a little piece. But then if they relisted it, or if their friends had people,
Right.
she had created a good relationship with them, they would refer her. So I went to a Keller Williams training called Franchise Systems Orientation, and this was 2012, and it was a rough time in real estate. We were still making our way out of the Great Recession, and I was in the room with the Keller Williams agents or owners, and they were talking, and they were happy. Like, I hadn't been in a room full of realtors that were happy in a long time, and because they knew how to run a company. They knew about win-win relationships. They were kind of on the front end of the team model. So there were a lot of things that in that training, it was, they had flown me down there to recruit me. I had no plans on making a move. But it resonated with me. The whole team concept resonated with me because I realized that how much business, if I had a team around the lake,
Hmm.
and we could work with them together and build those relationships together, then it would just keep growing versus me just kind of dispersing all these leads. So that's what I did in 2013. One, it created a bigger business. Two, I wasn't that island of success. I could help other people create a career in real estate and provide for their family. So it was just much better suited for me, the whole team aspect. And if I can, just like we're doing, I mean, we want to
Right.
get you up and running, making a lot of money. But we were also not just focusing on business, right? We're focusing on our health. We're focusing on
Right.
our mind, on our faith. Like, I joke, I've made grumpy people a lot of money, and they continue to be grumpy, at
Hmm.
the end of it. So, and I've been in some amazing rooms where, um, I'm top 50 in all of Keller Williams. So, when you're in meeting with all those people, it's pretty, amazing accomplishments in the room.
Yeah.
There's some of them that are happy. They enjoyed the grind. They enjoyed the process to get there. And then there's others that are just not content. Like,
Hmm.
they described breaking into a room or breaking through a wall and getting that success. And as soon as somebody gets in the room, they're like, all right, I need to break through that next wall.
Right.
They don't enjoy the stuff on the way. And if that's my belief is, if that's your attitude, you're never going to find something that'll eventually make you happy.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So, with what we got going on here, like you mentioned, quick plug. We're also focusing on our health, our mindset, financial goals, things like that. Adam and I are doing a YouTube series as well that you can check out on the Dow Group YouTube channel, Breakthrough 2026, where we are holding ourselves accountable. Mentor, mentee, someone who's been very successful, someone that's younger and wants to implement that success that you've had. And we're going all in on, like I said, our health, our fitness, our financial goals, all these big things that we're accomplishing, and then also business as well. So if you want to check out that YouTube series, it's vlog style, it's pretty fun. Go over to the YouTube, the Dow Group YouTube channel, check that series out. And then a quick introduction for me, I guess. I've been in real estate for just over 4 years now. This will be my fifth full year. And I started my career down in Charlotte, North Carolina, went to school in Temple University out of state down in Philadelphia. I grew up around real estate. My dad was a builder. But like you, I'm not very handy, got more of, I don't know if it's left brain or right brain, but whatever side of the brain they have, I'm the complete opposite. So I thought I was going to go to law school, be a lawyer, got to school halfway through. I was like, I'm not doing another 3 years of this. No way, no how. So I got my real estate license while I was down in Philadelphia, was just renting apartments. Didn't know I was going to make that a full jump, but it was going pretty well. So wanted to get out of Philly, went down to Charlotte. It was a good market, kind of did some research on it. I had a cousin that lived down there, so it made the move easy and jumped right into real estate. And the beginning of our careers is like totally different because you were somewhere where you were familiar,
Right.
You knew everything about the area, what people may like, what people may not like, building relationships, kind of going through, like you said, the online marketing stuff. I didn't have that knowledge or those resources. So for me, the way to build my career was just picking up the phone and calling. And I was calling expireds, withdrawns, and getting business that way. Had some really good mentors down there because I was awful on the phones. I was terrible,
Well, you
terrible.
wouldn't know it now because you handle yourself really well.
Right. Yeah. It's all about, it's not like a natural thing. It's all about repetition and putting the work in
Yep.
and figuring it out as you go on. So that first year that I was down there, I was able to sell 37 houses. I had some great help along the way. Like it wasn't just me doing it for sure. I had, an agent that was going on listings with me, got to see their presentation, which is huge. And kind of building off of that, it was all expires, withdrawns business, which after a while got a little tiring. There's a lot
It's
of
a hard
people.
way.
It is, get a lot of angry people on the phone. It's hard to build relationships that way. Just like a lot of turn and burn basically. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm not happy. Um, I enjoy real estate. I want to stay in it, but I need to switch it up. And I felt like I was ready to come back to Wolfboro, which
Yep.
is where I'm also from. Born and raised here, went to Kingswood like you. Family has a house over in Winter Harbor on the lake, which is, in my opinion, the best part of the lake. We can
We'll get into that.
yeah,
later.
we can discuss that later. I know you have your feelings on it.
South Wolfboro Bay is better.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I remember I felt like I was ready to make a move. And from being in Keller Williams, because I was on a Keller Williams team down there, I was like, if I'm going to make this move back, I'm going to work for Adam. Like I knew who you were. I knew that the Dow Group was #1 in New Hampshire. I saw the statistics on it, and I was like, if I am moving back, I got to work for Adam, or I'll just stay here and grind it out more. So I remember I sent you an email. I didn't have a resume. I was just like, hey, I've sold a little over 90 houses down here, helped in about 25 other ones. And, if you want me on your team, great. I would love to move back. If you don't, I understand. So you got back to me right away. We set up a meeting, flew back home, met with you one morning before I took off to go on vacation to Ireland. And you're like, yeah, you could join the team. I was like, perfect. I guess I'm moving home. So
I guess I could have negotiated a better split. I didn't know you were.
yeah. I mean, I was ready to take anything, but I wasn't going to tell you that. But yeah, first year here went great. Sold over a little over 20 houses in the first year. And the big thing about it is that I still wouldn't change anything about how my career's been set up because I was able to learn so much down in Charlotte, selling that many houses so quickly and get the experience. I feel like if I go into a situation with a transaction, there's nothing that I haven't seen before at this point. I may regret that later. There may be something that comes up, but that's why we have you. We can lean on you. But going off that, coming back here, I had a lot of family, friends, people that knew me that saw my experience down there and were ready to hire me based upon that. So it worked out pretty well. But yeah, now we're here.
We're here, 1 year in.
Yep.
Very successful first year, like you said.
Appreciate that.
And for me, when I'm looking at hiring, um, you can teach real estate. You can't teach honesty. You can't teach integrity, um, and the local knowledge that we have is really an unfair advantage because we grew up here.
Yep.
When they ask about the school, oh yeah, I went to that school, things like that. So when you called me, it was when I met you, got a sense of your character and knowing that you came here, you're coming back here, and you also have uncles in the business, your father's in the business, your brother's in the business.
Yep.
Like yeah, for me, it was a no brainer too. It was like, all right, this guy is going to be successful given all of his, um, you know, close family ties, and it is an unfair advantage for us. But
It is.
if we match that with having good character and treating our clients the way they need to be treated with honesty and integrity, that's a good. That's just a good formula for success.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your outlook for 2026 here as we step into the new year?
So I joke when people, if someone says the world's going to end, I tell them to move to New Hampshire because that'll happen 2 years later.
Yeah.
We're a lagging market, so we can see the rest of the country. I also compare it to, we have a family house on Kenniston Island, and we used to watch the thunderstorms come down the lake, and we'd put all the cushions in and get everything set and just like have the rain come down. It's a beautiful sight. But that's the way the Wolfboro market is. We can see thunderstorms, but it's not, you don't panic. You kind of get ready for it.
Yep.
So the rest of the country has been in a kind of a, we're right about just above 4 million sales nationally, which is rock bottom. It's death, divorces, upsizing, downsizing because of kids and, things like that. That's what happens in every year just because of life. So we've been at that. And if you look at the projections for 2026, Realtor.com, NAR, Redfin, they're all pointing to the market improving, right? So, but for us, we didn't really feel like the New Hampshire market was bad.
Yeah.
There was more inventory, certainly since COVID. So there were more houses to sell. So our number of houses has been fairly steady and going up, being sold. There's some that aren't selling, and that's due to price. Maybe COVID kind of made everything go up, and there were some that shouldn't have gone up so high, and those are feeling a little bit of softness. But New Hampshire in general has been pretty solid over the last couple of years. So if the predictions are correct and the rest of the country is improving, that means that we're going to start improving quicker.
Right.
And because if you're selling a house in Massachusetts or you're selling a house some other part of the country and you're feeling good about that part of the country, it makes New Hampshire feel even better. So I'm very optimistic for 2026.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well. Like I mentioned before, check out the YouTube channel, but I got a big goal of $18 million in volume this year, which I'm excited to hit. It'll put me in another tax bracket, which would be cool. Figure out a way to write all that off when it comes.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I think it'll just be a good year. I'm excited to see where this podcast goes. I'm excited to see where the YouTube channel goes. You got any other final words?
No, this is our inaugural run of our podcast room, so we got to get a little bit more decorated, so it'll change over time.
Yeah, definitely will.
But the Agent Apprentice, we're going to be, 2026 is going to be a great year for both of us, and hopefully that we can have you guys learn something too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This will be a bi-weekly podcast. So there'll be 2 dropping every month on the Dow Group YouTube channel. Make sure you check out the Breakthrough 2026 as well. And other than that, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good.